Hi everyone, welcome back to English Sprint. Today's lesson is different from the others. In this video, we're going to talk about modal verbs. Actually, in this video, I am going to talk about all of modal verbs. And also, all English learners can watch this video. And also, it doesn't matter what is your level. Today we're going to talk about all modal verbs from beginning to the advanced ones. Alright? So before we start, please like, subscribe, and click on the bell to get notified of my videos. So, what are modal verbs? We have two kinds of modal verbs. Core modals like can, could, may, might, must, shall, need, will, would, ought to. Okay? So, and also we have semi-modals. They are have to, need to, dare, be able to, be allowed to, had better, and used to. Actually, I have already posted videos about used to and had better, but in this video, we are going to talk about them again. Alright, so let's start with can. This is core modal. It talks about ability in the present, general possibility, informal permission, and requests, actually informal requests. Take a look at the examples. For example, I can swim. Yeah, it's an ability. Anyone can make a mistake. Okay, general possibility. And you can leave now. It's kind of permission. And can you help me? It's a kind of request, but it's informal. All right, so let's see could. Could talks about past ability. Okay, actually, sometimes we can use could for the past form of can. Polite requests, possibility, but less certain than can. Also, conditional ability, right? So, take a look at the examples. I could run fast when I was young. It is past ability. Could you open the window, please? Mhm. It could rain later. It's possibility, yeah? But the last one, I could help if I had time. It is a kind of ability, but it's conditional. I could help if I had time. Okay? So now take a look at may. May is used for permission in formal way. Possibility, but it's fairly neutral, right? So now take a look at examples. Okay, you may leave. It means that it's a kind of permission. It may rain tomorrow. It's about future. It is neutral somehow. Yeah, possibility in future. Now let's talk about might. Possibility again, but weaker than may. Okay, actually may is meet possibility, but might is less than may or weaker actually. Past form of may in reported speech. Okay, in reported speech, you can actually you have to change may to might. And hypothetical or conditional possibility. Okay, take a look at the examples. It might snow tonight, right? She said she might come. Yeah, the second example is reported speech. She said she might come. And if you talk to him today, he might change his mind. Okay, and it is hypothetical or conditional. Yeah, if you talked to him today, he might change his mind. Now, let's talk about must. A strong obligation or necessity, actually speaker imposed, right? So whenever you see someone uses must, it means a strong obligation, like have to. Okay, or also he or she talks about necessity, but it is a speaker imposed. It means, for example, me, myself, force myself. Okay, it means it is internal somehow. Okay, to a certain extent, you can say it is internal obligation. Okay, it is all about me. All right. And logical conclusion. For example, you see something and you conclude something, and you say, for example, it must be uh, actually that, right? So take a look at examples. You must wear a helmet. This is a kind of obligation, right? So, and it is necessity. But the speaker imposed it. Okay, so me, myself, it's not a rule, it's not a law. Okay, just I. For example, I tell you, you must wear a helmet when you ride a bike, right? So it's about me, not a rule. He must be at work now. For example, you call your friend, okay, your friend actually, but he or she doesn't answer, and your other friends say that, for example, he must be at work now. This is logical conclusion because, for example, it is 1 p.m. So uh, it is certainly true that uh, he is at work now. Now let's talk about shall, right? In British, for offers, suggestions, and formal future, especially with I or we, most of the time they use shall with I or we, not for example you or they, something like this. Okay. And also shall is rare in everyday American English. Actually, American English uses shall rarely, right? British people use shall for offers, suggestions, and formal future, right? Especially with I or we. Take a look at examples. Shall we dance? Okay, shall we dance? This is a kind of offer or suggestion, okay? And it is formal. The second, I shall return. It is formal and old fashioned, okay? Now, let's talk about should. We use should for advice, mild obligation, expectation. Okay, whenever we use should for mild obligation, it means the obligation is not actually too hard for you. And if you ignore it, okay, there will be no problem for you, right? Take a look at the examples. You should drink more water. It is kind of advice. They should arrive by 6. It's expectation. And you should wear your seatbelt while driving. It's mild obligation. It is not too hard for that, right? So now let's talk about will. So will is used for future simple, for prediction, decision at the moment, or willingness in future, or something you want to do, or offers. Okay, we use will for offers. Now take a look at examples. I will travel to Japan next month. Okay, this is a prediction for future. People will live in Mars someday. It's a kind of prediction. I'm thirsty. I think I'll make some tea. Okay, and this is sudden decision or at the moment decision. I'll help you with your homework. This is an offer. Okay, so you actually offer somebody to do something for them. Okay, and I will carry that box for you. It's kind of uh, offer. And also, when I say, for example, I will help you with your homework, it's like uh, actually willingness. Yeah, I like to do it. Now let's talk about would. Past the will, actually in reported speech. Okay, so polite requests and conditional. Okay, so for polite requests, you can use would. and conditional, and also habitual past. Okay, now let's take a look at the examples, and you will understand all of functions. All right, he said he would call me later. Okay, so would you mind closing the door? It is kind of polite request. I would buy that car if I had enough money. It is conditional. Okay? And the first one I said he would call, it's like actually reported a speech, and that was will changed to or has changed to would. When I was a child, we would play outside every evening. So, and this is habitual past. Now, let's go to ought to. It is used for advice, okay? Moral, obligation, and similar to should, but slightly stronger and a bit more formal. Yeah, actually, ought to similar is similar to the to should, but slightly stronger, and also it's more formal than should. Now, take a look at examples. You ought to see a doctor about that cough. This is advice. We ought to help people in need whenever we can, right? So, employees ought to submit their reports by Friday. This is a formal, actually, sentence, right? Okay. If you have watched this video until here, please like, subscribe, and click on the bell, and also share with your friends to let them know about modal verbs. Now, we are going to talk about semi-modal, right? So, for example, have to. Have to is used for obligation, necessity usually external. For example, rules or circumstances. All right, take a look at examples. I have to finish this by 5 p.m. She had to leave early, right? So, I have to finish this by 5 p.m. It is an obligation and she had to leave early. It is a kind of necessity, okay? Or both of them talks about necessity or external, okay? All right, now let's take a look at need to. It talks about requirement or necessity. As a modal in negative or questions, it can appear without to in British English. All right? For example, you need to finish your homework. You need to finish your homework. This is requirement or necessity. And need I say more in British English? As I said, it sometimes in question form or negatives, it appears without to. For example, in this place, need I say more, right? In British English. But some people say, for example, do I need to say more? Okay. And need we go now? It's formal. Okay. Need we go now? Now, take a look at dare. Okay. Actually, dare is for upper intermediate or advanced level. As a modal, to show challenge or lack of courage. And also, it's rare as a modal, right? It's like shall. Okay, but shall is core modal, but there is semi-modal, right? As a modal, it means to show challenge or lack of courage. Now, take a look at examples. I dare say he will come, and she didn't dare speak, right? So, now, be able to, okay? Be able to. Also, it talks about ability, and also it's can alternative. All right, so, but when do we use it? When tense or mood requires an inflected verb, for example, future or perfect. All right, so for example, you cannot say, for example, I will can or I can will do something. All right, so we need to change can to be able to. Okay, it changes to semi-modal, and you can use it for future or perfect tenses, right? For example, she will be able to help tomorrow. It is about future, okay? So it means the ability in future. I have been able to finish it. Okay, I have been able to finish it, and it's also present perfect. All right, now the next one is be allowed to. We use it for permission, especially external permission. All right, for example, you are allowed to park here after 6 p.m. It is external permission, okay? It is for some rules actually sometimes, all right? So, all right, had better. Let's take a look at this one. Had better. A strong advice with implied negative consequence if ignored. All right? So, yeah, it is like should. Strong advice with implied negative consequence if ignored. It means if you ignore this advice, you will regret, right? So, for example, you had better study for the exam, okay? What does it mean? It means if you ignore, you would regret not studying, all right? So, and it is a kind of advice, but in negative consequence. It has negative consequences if you ignore it. All right, now let's talk about used to. Actually, I think you have a question, used to. Uh, why am I talking about this one here? Actually, used to use a semi-modal, and we can say it, all right? So we use it for past habitual actions or states that no longer happen, right? For example, I used to smoke, or there used to be a cinema here, okay? This is talking about past. I used to smoke, okay? So in the past I smoked, but now I don't, right? And there used to be a cinema here, okay? There was a cinema here, but now there isn't, right? So they changed cinema, for example, to a shopping mall, something like this, all right? Now, okay, now it's time to talk about the most important part of this video. Actually, you have already learned modal verbs. But now we are going to talk about differences. Before we start talking about differences, please like, subscribe, and click on the bell to get notified and support me to make other videos. Alright, can versus could. Actually, can is talking about presentability or permissions, right? But could talks about past ability, polite requests, or less certain possibility. Okay? So, for example, can I is informal permission, or could I is more polite. Okay? These are differences between can and could. All right? May versus might. May talks about permission, but in formal way, or mid-level possibility. Okay, it mid-level possibility. And might is lower probability and hypothetical. Okay, this is hypothetical. And also for reported speech, may changes to might in the past. For example, she said she might. Okay, now must versus have to. Must often expresses the speaker's strong opinion or internal obligation. Okay, so speaker's strong opinion or internal obligation and sometimes logical conclusion. All right, but have to generally expresses external obligation like rules or laws. I must go. For example, I feel I should. Okay, and I have to go. Something forces me to. All right, but there's a point here. Actually, most of the time people use have to because have to expresses external obligation. Yeah, it's true. But sometimes have to is more common than must, especially in speaking. All right. Should ought to and had better. They are the same somehow, but a bit different. Should talks about general advice. Ought to similar to should, slightly more formal, right? So actually ought to is similar to should, but slightly more formal. Okay? So had better is urgent and with implied bad consequence. Okay? So actually had better is advice, but it is urgent, and if you ignore it, it has bad consequence for you. Okay? Now, will versus would. All right? So, will we use for future or willingness, and would for conditional, polite requests, habitual past. All right? So, now let's talk about the last one, be able to versus can. Be able to is used for tenses, forms where can't be used. For example, future perfect, perfect tenses. All right? So, as I told you in uh, actually be able to part. Okay? So, for example, I will be able to. Okay? So, it is about future. Okay? So, be able to is talking about abilities. All right? So, but you cannot talk about future if you use can. Okay? So, you have to change can to be able to. Right? For example, I will be able to, or I have been able to. Thank you very much, guys, for watching this video until the end, and I hope you learned whatever I said. I tried to gather all modal verbs in this video, actually as a single video, to teach you all modal verbs in one video and make it easy for you to understand all modal verbs and use it in speaking and speak natural English. Thank you very much. Have a nice day and goodbye.